Ever since Prey released 3 years ago, the Predator franchise has been on an absolute roll. So now, Predator Badlands, the first Predator movie in theaters after a while, is now playing. Let's talk about it. Now, ever since this movie was announced, it was always stated that this was going to be a Predator movie in the Predator's perspective. That is wild, and at the time of the announcement, no one was on board for that because it just seemed way too random. It was way incredibly risky to do. At the time, that was an absolutely huge risk to be doing, but we got Prey. We got Killer of Killers. We see that this franchise now has a clear direction that they are going in the future. So, after watching Killer of Killers, seeing a Predator movie in the Predator's perspective may not be such a bad thing, because Killer of Killers expanded on the lore of Predator so incredibly much that we see the direction that this franchise is now officially going. So, we now get to see all that in the Predator's perspective. I was on board with that ever since Killer of Killers, and the movie absolutely delivered on that notice. Yes, you can tell when watching the movie that it is very different from your typical Predator movie and feels like a completely different franchise overall, but the main concept that this movie was trying to do, make you care for the Predator, it delivered on that and kind of introduced a lot of different elements that I did like when exploring in the Predator's perspective. They made you care for the Predator, and that was the movie's main goal, and I can't wait to see what they do in future installments now that we know more of the Predator's perspective. Let's switch back to the human and see what we think of the Predator now. And this movie has basically two main characters. There's a robot character and a Predator, and you just feel their chemistry throughout the entire movie. This movie kind of plays off as a adventure type movie in the first half of it, and because it plays off that way, the chemistry between these two characters is the best part of the movie. Movies like that, where they're basically just walking on an adventure to point A to point B, need to have great chemistry between the characters to make it funny in the first place. And that was the biggest surprise for me coming out of this movie, was just how much I love these characters and how funny this movie actually was. It's because of this chemistry, it's because of the adventure vibes that this movie set up, that the movie comes off so incredibly funny as it actually does. Because since these characters are two completely opposites from each other, one silly and talks a lot, one is a predator who hunts for fun of it, just certain dialogue that happens between these two characters can be absolutely hilarious. And I just love the vibe of the film. Like I mentioned, the adventure vibe of the film. I just love that vibe, especially in the Predator franchise. That really worked for me, and it was a huge surprise coming out of this movie. Overall, I am very pleased with this movie and the future of this franchise. Ever since Prey, the Predator movies have been really good, and Killer of Killers set up all this lore that the Predator franchise has really been missing. It is quite clear that this director has a vision for this franchise, and I cannot wait for the next installment of Predator, because his vision is coming together, his story is coming together, and every single movie he has made has been some of the best Predator movies we have gotten in this entire franchise. This franchise actually has a story now, and I'm so glad that this vision is coming together. And especially with everything Badlands kind of did, I can't wait to see what the future of this franchise now holds in store. But real quick, if you want to help me reach my goal of 1K by the end of the year, consider subscribing. Let's continue. Now for me, the second half of this movie is incredibly weaker. Because like I mentioned, the first half of the movie, I just loved the dynamic between the two main characters, and I loved that vibe of the movie, getting from point A to point B. The second half of this movie feels like a second movie from just how much the plot changes so incredibly quickly, because all of a sudden, we're in the final battle stuff that just didn't work as much for me as the first half did. Don't get me wrong, I love the action in here, so it did work overall for me. It was still fun to watch. But compared to the first half of the film, I was just really digging the first half a lot more. And since that's the thing that you set me up with, that's the stuff I enjoyed a lot more than the actual fighting part. But both just worked overall. I just loved the first half. And speaking of the action, there is no gore in this movie that is red. There is a lot of gore because it's alien gore. That's because it's PG-13. It's because there's no humans in the movie, so there's no red blood. But part of me kind of wishes the aliens had red blood because I feel like a lot of the other kills in this movie would have worked a lot better with that red blood. There's a lot of robots in this movie, and I feel like every single robot we were killing was just missing something, and each kill was boring because there was no blood. Because they're robots. I feel like they could have had something just to make it a bit more fun to watch. Because going into Predator movies like this, you kind of want that blood in there. But overall, it kind of worked. I just wish it was rated R. Just for that blood. And like I said, this movie is very different compared to the entire Predator franchise. That may not work for a lot of people, but since I loved that first half so much, it ended up working for me by the end. Everything this movie was trying to do, make you connect with the character of Predator, the character dynamics, the future of the franchise, all this stuff, I am really confident in, and I really enjoyed Predator Badlands. Anyways, if you like this video, maybe these ones decided to too, like, subscribe, see you guys next time. Goodbye.